talking about
because
getting some Air Jordans.
what?
You were talking about getting some Air Jordans.
You talking about my 3 times jump?
Yeah.
You should probably start.
I'm contemplating it, honestly. Yeah,
And
I'm ready.
start we shall. So, the history of Wildmount is long and storied. Tales from the end of the calamity in which the prime deities did battle with the betrayers upon mortal soil, scarring landscape and the gods alike. The kingdoms and dominions of the mortal races falling and being absorbed from conquest or circumstance. The stage of this portion of Exandria is set amongst the outbreak of a war between two nations, the Dwendalian Empire and the Kreen dynasty. Tensions have always been high amidst skirmishes and sometimes even open battles across the border between East and Western Wenandir. But the spark that set the Ashkeeper Peaks aflame was an assault by the Kreen dynasty upon the Ashgard garrison that left over 1,000 Empire soldiers dead, and the garrison in the hands of Kreen forces. The date is the 17th of Fesseron, the year 835 post-divergence. Just 2 weeks after the formal declaration of war from the Dwendalian Empire, the imperial propaganda has raised the population in a fervor in the face of a common and dire enemy, the Kreen. You all find yourself amidst this caravan on a road known as the Bromkiln Byway. Your reasons for traveling this road are your own, some chartered upon this caravan, some just seeking some new sights to see. But as the lush greens and uh, golden fields of the Marrow Valley, they begin to give way to these dirty yellowed and muddy hills known as the Bromkiln Hills. The destination of which you seek is the city of Kamordah, which lies within the Bromkiln Hills. The landscape is tumultuous, often riddled with seismic activity and even eruptions of geysers occasionally. And as you're traversing your way, sort of carving down the byway through these hills, in the more traveled and safer path, you can occasionally hear rumblings from below and even see off in the distance gouts of water spitting steam into the air. There's a sense of calm on the road, and you all find yourselves amongst a myriad of people that some of whom are familiar, some of whom are fresh faces. What do you wish to do as you're on the caravan?
A gray-skinned, like a pale gray-skinned individual with red eyes, and he's got horns poking off the side of his forehead. He's covered in leather armor. He's got a longbow on his back, and he's got a staff sitting next to him. He pipes up and says, "So, where are you guys going to?" "My name's Jimmy. I'm trying to find someone." And he says this with a big old smile, and he's just curious about you guys. I
guess I'll go first. So a bright blue bird looks up from his book, and he says in like an old man's voice, "Make more history," and kind of just like stares at you blankly with its black eyes in a blue robe.
Making history. How you gonna do that?
He says in an old man's voice, "History is everywhere." I'm very limited.
Good to know.
I say in a little girl's voice, "Can't talk much."
You see this very red-skinned individual, nice fiery, literal fiery hair. Not literal, just very in like a very dreaded fashion to the back. You got sunglasses on, nice crop top, piercings everywhere. Sipping what could only be described as some sort of drink, you know. Yep, that's the only way you can describe.
And it's a
Kinda-
very it is a juxtaposition as like fall is beginning to set properly in Fesserin. And even amidst the volcanic activity of the Bromkiln Hills and the geysers that are erupting, as the superheated water sort of hits the chilled air, it sort of like goes into this low mist that sort of rolls all across the hills. You're just looking at this fiery individual wearing a crop top in this relatively chill weather.
Aren't you a little cold?
I raise my my shades down. Look at them up and down. Pull them back up. Drink my drink and kind of turn my head.
I repeat him. Aren't you a little cold?
In a perfect mimicry of this individual who made himself known as Jimmy's voice. It is a 100% perfect mimic. Like Jimmy, you almost like are startled by your own voice coming from another individual.
No.
I say not much of a talker in the little girl's voice again.
How about you?
He says, pointing to a random member of the caravan.
Random member of the caravan.
In the far back in a shadowed corner of the caravan group, everyone sees a shaded character. From what very few glimpses of skin you can see, they are actually an ashen white, but they're wearing so much black and dark grays, and even with their long black hair and their face coverings, you can't really discern who they are. But they just glance over at the group, not say a word, and you can feel that they're sizing you up or taking a gander at your personal belongings.
I quickly glance between the fiery individual and the one just clothed in cloaks and daggers. And I just quickly, wow, we got the whole spectrum on here. How about
Jesus
you?
Christ.
And I point towards the lion looking man.
looks at him, and just turns away, just
Bruh.
like how David did. And he's just gonna pretend like he's falling asleep.
And
Ah.
like all of you is like none of you have ever seen an individual quite like this before. Like you might have seen like Tabaxi before, but this is a brand new sight. This is just like a mountain of a person in lion form, almost as tall as the Goliath who's aboard the caravan. So sort of like sitting up, very casually chatting with the caravan driver before looking back.
My well, hello friends. I am Gadan. Nice of you to join us. As I have a very Marquette styled armor piece, very light blue with this like sandy browns on the inside, and I give you all a nice bright smile and wave.
I wave.
I wave as well.
We are heading to Kamordah, of course, to answer your question. I point to the horned individual.
Yeah, but what are you what's your reasons for going there? I'm trying to find somebody. How about yourself?
And I point to my face. Me, and it's like a nice gray, like nice solid gray, like black lines going across it. I'm going to go test out the wine. It's Kamordah. What it's for,
Wine. I had some pretty good wine back home, but I'd like to try this wine. Yeah.
And I weaken him and say, "It's to die for." And I turn back to talking to my good friend.
I repeat, to
Man.
die for.
The caravan driver, as you say that, get on loudly, he just sort of says, "Well, you could say that, but the Marquesian wine is Kamordah wine is very good, very good. Yes, flavors like nowhere else you can find in the empire, but Marquesian wine, that is the best in the world, without a doubt."
I nod. I do agree. But we might want to keep our different taste a bit lower in the empire. Although I would always kill for some black sand coffee.
Yeah, most of the alcohol served back at my place had turtle spit in it.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
Something
see
about
it.
like the kick with it, like, is supposed to like blend really well with the the drift part of alcohol. I don't know what that's called. I have a limited vocabulary. But I just never liked the turtle spit.
Say
This-
yummy in a boy's voice.
Does turtle spit, does it ferment well? Does it have sugars in it?
I the primary, I think it's actually used like how the base of wine is water, or no, it's, what was it, is it barley beer that does that? You'll have to forgive me, I'm not very learned, but isn't it they put sugar, water, and this barley in a mixture? Yeah, they do that with turtle spit, sugar, and like a bunch of like berries they find around to the marshlands.
Where are you from, if you do not mind me asking?
Oh, well, I'm from just around Erzin in Jorhas.
And this individual sort of like looking at you, sort of like because he did in fact over, like you've been with this caravan all across the byway, And he's just now putting like two and two together with like your skin tone and your eye color, and he says, I would perhaps keep that information to a hush. I myself not one to judge, being an outsider myself, but in this time of war, I would be very hesitant as to who I would give that information to. As far as you coming from Jorhas, it is a little bit of a touchy subject in the Empire. You might get some strange looks, to say the
I-
least.
I get strange looks already. But I told you because you seemed pretty buddy with this guy, and well, I got a lovely smile.
It's me and Gadan. We have a bit of a history together. We've known each other for many years.
I'm gonna like lean over to Ramar. You're not gonna get in trouble for this, are you?
Oh, I don't think that unless he stirs up some trouble in Kamordah, I think that I will be just fine. I have my hand in many pots. I do not think that people will be so easily angered with me. Unless he turns out to be a spy, in which case I I might find
Oh.
myself in the Clay Keep prison in Rexentrum.
Well, if they imprison you, I would break you out in a heartbeat.
I appreciate the thought, my friend, but the Clay Keep prison is not such an easy thing to tackle, and I would not wish that upon you. But he
nod.
seems like too much forthright of an individual to be anything, how do you say, clandestine. He seems. Let me just look at him. Look at that smile on his face.
Jimmy is smiling, just like waiting for them to finish with their conversation so he can have a conversation with them again.
Yeah, okay. And I nod and I pat him on the shoulder. As long as things are gonna turn out all right for you. And I go back to smiling. Yeah. Information not the best to share with just anyone, but we are all, we're all buddies here.
I smile and look at all the quiet into people.
I repeat, buddies.
Ramar says to you, Gadan, sort of like just forward facing, are they buddies enough for you to share the gold that you are going to attain for looking over my caravan? Are they that much of your buddies? No?
Yeah, I would, yes. But
At the sound of
look over
gold,
at
the
them.
shadowed figure. Ooh. I'm gonna say at the sound of gold, the shadow figure perks their head up and is actively now listening to the conversation, whereas before they were just ignoring everybody that wasn't worth their time.
So everybody,
Literally.
damn.
They didn't even catch your name.
I am going to like look back at these differently colored individuals. You know what? I feel like this was a really dangerous set of individuals you brought in their various colors. Not to you, of course, but just they seem to be from everywhere. Yeah. Wherever you want, pal.
Well, my mother always said variety was the spice of life. So,
However, we are in the Empire right now. Variety isn't their forte. Yeah.
I would not say that that is the case. The Empire has a plethora of things that they sort of dwell in. The Empire is a very large swath of land. It's no menagerie coast, mind you, and it does not have as many different peoples. And being landlocked as they are, they tend to get their trade through us mostly. But I would not say that the Empire has nothing to offer culturally or food-wise or drink-wise. There are many things. Even the town that we are going to, like I said, the wine has flavors that you would be hard-pressed to find anywhere else in the Empire and even in the world. Very unique, earthy tones to their wine.
Forgive my tongue, my friend. I'm just a bit homesick.
As am I, my friend.
Well, if they won't tell us where they're going, will they tell us where they're from? And I look at the flaming individual once again. She seems like the most talkative out of all of them.
I say where from?
Uh, Zadash.
Oh, where's that? Jimmy says with a big old smile.
It's in the Dwendalian Empire. Marrow Valley.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
we just passed it on the road not too long ago. I do not know when it was you, Jimmy, that you made your way onto our caravan, but we passed through Zadash. That's where we picked up this one, and he points to the kenku, the sort of like pale blue kenku wearing cobalt blue robes with a gray sash, and this one. I
You know what? I just forgot that.
Oh, I asked to be picked up
Fucking pseudo dragon.
off the side of the road somewhere. I had the gold. I got on the caravan.
So over on the side that you couldn't see, there's also like a green sort of pseudo dragon like next to his leg.
Funny you mentioned that. A bloodhawk lands on my shoulder.
We all just forgot about our shit.
Looking at these creatures that Catan has not like either seen before or only seen like once or twice. What are these creatures you bring with you?
I say in a grown man's voice, bloodhawk, and I like try to hand it to him.
I like tentatively put out one of my arms, like I've seen someone do with a seagull.
let me give me the first roll of
Jimmy
the
also
game.
does that.
Give me the first roll of the game. Give me an animal handling check, get on.
Animal handling.
Okay, yeah, the bird as you hold out your sort of gauntleted is it like metal? Is it leather?
So it seems to be like the forearm part seems to have some metal underneath it, but the like wrist is just actual seashells.
So as this large for a bird, this is definitely a predatory bird of prey. It's this sort of a mix of deep browns that sort of like lead into crimson at the feather tips, with these blood red eyes that just sort of like stare at you as this hawk sort of cocks its head for a moment and then looks down back at Barker, and then with a hop and a flap it transitions arms over to yours, sort of its talons making clacking noises upon the seashells.
Don's eyes light up. He like tentatively like reaches out and then he looks over at the kinku. Is it okay if I pet it?
I repeat, okay, if pet.
And I very, very gently like pet the back of the bloodhawk's head.
Jimmy
Okay.
is leaning in very intently, looking at this bird very excitedly, and then produces a series of what you would think would be like chirps and whistles, And he says to the bird in Orin, "You're just the sweetest little thing."
Oh.
The bird
Oh.
sort of like visibly like recoils at the the cacophony of sweetness that's coming from Jimmy, and then instinctively like turns its head around and then bites on Gadon's finger. But it's like the bird is biting on stone, and it's just like ha, and then it flaps and like in sort of a mild panic, just flaps its way back to Barker.
I look like I have a look of betrayal and hurt.
Betrayal.
Look at
and
my
hurt.
finger and
The
look
bird
at
did
Jimmy.
not the bird did not like do a dent to your finger with your Goliath fortitude.
It's not physical pain. It is mental and emotional pain.
Anguish.
I look over at Jimmy. What was that? We were bonding.
Well, I just gave him a compliment.
It's not very often that birds are spoken to.
Yeah, I have no idea what you did.
So, and then I point over to the lion guy, who's quite large in stature. Where are you from, my friend?
I don't know if I feel comfortable telling you that information.
Perfectly understandable. And I point over to the individual cloaked in completely black clothing. How about you?
The person shadowed in just dark clothes kind of sits lazily and lazily turns their head towards the Goliath man. In a very androgynous voice, you can tell neither whether it's masculine nor feminine. They say, "Why is that information relevant to you?"
It is simply conversation. It's nice to know.
I'll let you know when I want to conversate with you.
Oof.
Gadon shrugs. Okay. And I point over to the Kinku. Continuing on our train.
We got a
How about
motley
you?
crew here.
I think I'm from. I can't even remember where I'm from.
You are from
I think I'm from
Zadash.
Zadash. Yeah, Zadash from Dwindlin. I just repeat in just a regular man's voice, Dwindlin, Zadash.
Oh, are both of you some kind of nobles? Or are you some kind of like merchants?
Make a history check for me. Get on to see if you recognize Barker's robes. Yeah, you would recognize the robes. These aren't like the robes of a noble. These are sort of order of monks who pride themselves upon keeping and obtaining information, known as the Order of the Cobalt Soul. They basically they serve under the knowing mentor, Ayun.
There's like this information. As I recall this information, I look them up and down. Ah, yes. The monks that like know everything.
I repeat, know everything.
Well, I'm no researcher myself. Surely what your research must be fascinating. Is there anything you could share with us?
I repeat, hard to or can't speak well in a girl's voice.
Ah, unfortunate.
I repeat, unfortunate.
Just
Then, like,
perfect imitations.
I go over to the fire individual, and then like I go back over to Jimmy. I have not heard of many people from over there.
Oh, right, not supposed to say. Not supposed to say.
So, how is it
Oh, well, I don't know. I never lived anywhere but the forest or the wilds, or kind of a roamer type of person. I can't really speak much on the people, but I can speak to them. Um, the food's all right. Sometimes they cook it a little raw, but that's fine. That's fine. Um,
Mhm.
you gotta look out for the orcs. They're kind of mean. Like they never say excuse me or or. Oh, sorry. Am I being racist? Oh no, I was told not to be that. Oh jeez. Jimmy looks really disappointed in himself.
Oh, from what I heard, you all like do dark rituals to sink cities.
Oh no, not me. I'm not part of that. All right. I lived in the forest.
Kadan nods and seems to have a better opinion of Jimmy. And how about you, mini ringed one?
Hey, you
'Cause
mean
I
by
point
mini?
to the fiery individual who has multiple piercings.
Oh, you said
Oh,
green. I'm sorry. I was like, what?
Mini ringed one.
Oh, mini
ringed.
ringed. Oh. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, well, what do you do? You're from Jadash, yes?
Um, mostly shop. That's where I got this
Shop?
from.
Oh, are you a noble? I mean,
N- no, just have money.
Oh, so
The sh-
a
the
merchant.
Sure, honey.
Ramar just sort of chuckles at the front of the caravan.
the shadowed individual, uh, while not looking directly at the fire ganassi, does turn their attention to them and kind of side eyes them, appraising everything that they are worth right now.
I take another sip from my drink.
you've been holding that for at least like a couple hours. I'm surprised you haven't finished that yet.
It's just empty. He's just pretending to drink it.
You don't just fuck, sorry, I'm trying to get the word. I was gonna say gobble, but that's not the right word.
Consume.
Yeah.
Pork.
You don't just I'm just
Guzzle.
gonna say it.
Guzzle. That's the word.
Maybe. You don't just guzzle this down.
Oh yeah, no, I like to enjoy a drink, but you've been enjoying it for like a really long time. I'm surprised it hasn't been completely consumed yet. That's all.
Consumed yet.
Eyeing the container in the fire ganassi's hand, can the shadowed figure sense anything inherently magical about it?
Make an Arcana check to see if you can see any blatant
That's
runes
to
inscribed
DM,
on this
but
canister.
I need to suss out this coffee cup. 1 second.
Coffee cup looking mighty
sorry,
sus.
this is to GM, but it's a 14.
I don't know. Was one of the items that you take in a decanter of endless coffee?
I should have. It would have fit, but no.
I would say if
It's
you wanted a
really
decanter,
low,
if you
though.
wanted a decanter of endless coffee, You probably could have had that made in Zadash. You could have gone to like the Invulnerable Vagrant and had that requisitioned.
So it's just a standard cup that he's taking long swigs of.
You can see what appears to be like on the bottom the lining of the cup. Appear to be a couple of little arcanic sigils of some kind, leading that there might be some sort of enchantment on this coffee. You're not sure as to what the enchantment is.
All right.
But he has been
Is it like
drinking this coffee for a while.
Is it like a Is it a common item? Decanters?
I think it's uncommon. Well, it has to be uncommon. Unless it's just a bitch ass decanter, like for regular stuff, and hasn't been magically imbued with anything.
No, I would say that this is an uncommon magic item, but it doesn't count against the either. This is fine. Your family is made out of money.
Okay.
And it's not like, you know, the ones that like, you know, drain an entire like ocean in like 5 seconds, yeah. It's just a coffee cup.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, am I thinking of the right item? Don't worry about it. Move on.
So, what brings you guys to travel? And this time, I'm actually pointing at Jimmy since he's the one who asked originally.
I said I was looking for somebody.
Yeah. Who?
Oh, my dad.
My
It's like
dude.
a nice few moments of silence from Gadan as he like looks him up and down. I don't think he'll be hard to find.
Oh, man. If
How
only you were
ominous.
right. It's been literal years. Haven't found him.
Say in an old lady's voice, going to get milk.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh.
Jimmy looks down and kind of sad. He's like, "Well, he's never really been in my life much. I don't know why he wasn't there. That's all."
Well, I can tell you what my sister did to my father when he only came back like once every 5 years. You sit him down, you punch him straight in his jaw, and tell him, "Don't you ever leave again."
I feel like if I wanted to do that, he could, you know, shatter every bone in my arm.
Then get stronger.
That's a good idea. That's a great idea, actually. How do I do it? Jimmy looks really
Well-
smiling and expecting an answer.
Well, so first, you need to pick what your style is gonna be. I myself, and Gadan pulls up his like nice trident with like a appears to be golden head, nice ocean blue stave. First, you pick out your style. Then you like train every single day against various types of opponents, of varying skills. Most of them you want to be higher than yours, so you can know how it feels to be completely and utterly crushed. And then you get back up and do it again.
That sounds really hard. Can't I just, you know, walk around in the forest a little? Maybe do some target practice with like rotten apples.
I mean, can you already hit rotten apples?
I mean, I'm pretty alright with a bow.
Then it's not good enough. You have to go farther all the time. No matter
Oh,
what
no.
you do, you need to constantly go farther.
2 apples? Jimmy looks at the Genasi that just laughed. So you can smile!
I try really hard to put my smile away.
I think we're cracking that hard I don't know. What's a hard thing that's hard to get into?
Apples.
Exoskeleton?
Apples are pretty easy to get into.
The shell of a Ketus
Exoskeleton?
Baji?
Yes.
I just love the exoskeleton that came from.
Oh no, looks like she's mending that crack. All right. So you like to shop. So are you going to shop in the next town?
Probably.
What are you looking for?
I don't know. Maybe something green. I've been looking for something other than. Ah. You know, autumn's coming up. Maybe a little bit of orange.
Looking for
A
something
nice
green,
orange and red.
orange and red.
Twiddling with their dagger, the shadow figure says, "Red should be easy to come by."
Damn.
Oh, honey. No.
So as the fiery Ganassi says, "Oh, honey, no." Everybody, go ahead and make perception checks for me.
Okie dokie.
Does my bird make a perception check?
Oof.
Your bird is
Honey.
sitting on your shoulder, so it's sort of just busy preening itself, and
Where the hell is there?
The shadow figure is too busy
Oh God! Don't do.
eyeing the valuables of the Faraganasi to worry about what's going on externally.
okay. So Barker, Jimmy, and Gadon, the three of you, as you like, the hills, like the Bromkiln Hills, are a very strange and almost alien landscape. Just because you've never really seen anything like it on the Menagerie Coast or in sort of like the central part of the Marrow Valley. This is weird. Just these like pillars of smoke and somebody is mowing their lawn. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I'm sorry.
Nope.
Nope.
We cannot.
You are
Just
good.
these like pillars of like steam and smoke that just like condense and then begin to roll. You could almost swear for a second that you just see something just meander in the mist before disappearing back into it. Almost like the mist itself was kind of creeping along.
Hmm.
I'm gonna like point over to it. Is that common up here?
Are you asking Ramar?
I am asking everyone, but Ramar especially. I'm
He's
gonna
make
like
a
lean
perception
over
check.
and like gently tap his shoulder.
Just shrug my shoulders.
What is common or uncommon around here? What did you see something?
It looked like something was moving over in the mist.
I repeat, something
yep.
moving.
Or was it the mist itself? I don't know. Either way, the Empire is well patrolled. Yes, there aren't any like monsters here.
Oh, animals
Caravans. Yeah, there actually are not too many animals that roam the hills. There are the occasion and some vultures above that you will see every once in a while, but uh, there aren't really any large fauna that meander these hills too much. The errant dog. But... Oh, did you see something in the mist then?
I believe I did. Should we inform anyone else about this?
Mm. You see, Ramar's hands just sort of like trace the air for a moment, and then he holds up like a piece of copper wire that's bound between his ring finger and his thumb. And then he like lifts it to his mouth and then whispers something. You needn't worry. I have informed the other carts.
Guys,
keep their
seen him
eyes
do this
peeled.
before?
Oh,
Um,
you've seen him like speak. He can sort of transmit messages through arcane means
Okay.
over a
Do
very
you mind-
short distance.
I would like to ask him, hey, do you mind if I sit next to you? Maybe I can get a better view from up there. I'm pretty good at looking for large things.
Well, he sort of like looks up at the very towering and imposing figure of Gadon, just sort of like Captain Morganing, like with one foot on the seat, sort of just like spying over into the like in through the mist and over the hills. I think that you better ask him before you ask me.
Oh, Gadon?
I'm like still like looking off in the distance, trying very hard to find whatever this was. It's like trident is in my hand. I'm kind of spooked.
Excuse me? Could you scoot over? Can I get a better view sitting up there?
There's not much room up here. I don't think
Hmm.
I'll much fit back there. If you want, I can hold you up.
Is the ooh,
Um,
is the caravan like a hard topped caravan, or is it, you know, cloth?
It's cloth covered mostly. These aren't like Oregon Trail wagons where they have a canvas top, and it's mostly just an assortment of like boxes of like spices and wines and other
Mm.
like myriad of goods to be traded with the Empire. That is diminished significantly through your travels up the Amber Road through like Truscan Vale, Alfield, and Zadash before making your way here. So the caravan's looking a lot thinner than it was at the start.
Well, I mean, if 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 you want,
Only for a minute or two.
oh, okay, yeah, no, if it's still around, I can probably spot it.
Yeah. If he comes up to the front, I will like lift him above me. And try to get a view of this thing.
You're gonna lift him above you. You're just gonna like fucking like lift him up like Simba at Pride's Rock.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna make you make a strength check for this. You easily just Simba this half elven individual.
Mhm.
Go and make a perception check with advantage for me, Jimmy.
Alrighty. That's
Okay,
a
so 20.
disadvantage, but a 20.
Yeah, so looking around, you do occasionally see like you don't see any creatures or anything like moving around in the mist, but you do see like almost like lumps of like the steam of the mist just sort of like occasionally like burble and roil in a sort of like strange pattern before dissipating. But you don't see any creatures or anything that would set off any immediate alarms of danger or attack. Just a very odd sight.
Just an
Like
odd
nothing you've ever
mist.
seen. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you've never seen anything like this. Like you've seen like mist in the in the Brackenvale, the Broken Vale swamp. Like you've seen like
Yeah.
low hanging mist, but this is like steam in the air is sort of And the air, by the way, is like sulfurous and very minerally and kind of unpleasant.
Um, Erickson's Erickson's gonna do like a and for you, Kyle, yeah,
Gurix?
Gurix, yeah, Gurix is gonna appear in front of him, invisible. For everybody else, he's invisible.
Yes, boss. What do you want?
Fly a little bit above the caravan for me. I just want to look through your eyes for a second.
How high, sir?
Let's give it a good 60 feet.
Okay, you're the boss, and he snaps his fingers and then turns invisible.
Oh,
And
he
then you
was all.
just hear.
He was
Oh,
always.
he was
Yeah,
okay. He was always
he just.
invisible. So.
Yeah, I made him appear, and then he was invisible.
So you guys just hear this like, and before it just trails off distantly into the air.
I'm
And then I'm
looking
gonna.
around confused.
I'm gonna go into his eyes and try to see what everybody's what the hubbub is about.
Okay.
If you let me, of course.
Absolutely. Let me find the stat block for an imp here.
Do I use his perception or do I use my
Yes, you would use his perception.
own? Okay.
Because you're seeing what he sees.
Right. I honestly I thought I took control of him. Or his eyes or something. I don't know.
You're making a
Yeah.
perception check for him. So just roll a d20 plus 1.
D20 plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So he's just sort of like very
One.
lackadaisically just sort of flying in like these odd circles just above, occasionally meandering over to one side of the caravan before listing back to the other. And you can't see really anything, especially up here because the mist is sort of like generally low to the ground when it condenses, but occasionally like the wind carries a bit of like the steam from the geyser through the air, so it's sort of like clouding his vision before it settles to the ground below. So yeah, Gurix is not too helpful. Not from the air above, it seems at least.
Gotcha. Yep. Hmm. I can't. You're not seeing anything?
Are you talking to Gurix?
Oh yeah. We're telepathically talking at this point.
I don't know, boss. I don't really see anything up here. Not a whole lot, at least. Just a whole lot of nothing. He's like very perturbed of being up here in the air in this cold fall or this chilly fall weather. Especially with like the cold steam beginning to like stick to his wings, and he's like, I really don't like it up here. Gotta come down.
All right. And I do a snap, and he's back in his pocket dimension.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's just oh thank God.
All right,
Jimmy,
so by this time, I'll
yeah.
put Jimmy back in.
Jimmy's going to get off your shoulders. And he says, "Well, the mist is kind of weird. I've never seen anything like it. It must be from those geysers. But I don't see any creatures. So, all right." And Jimmy's going to sit down, go into his rucksack, and start playing the pan flute.
Make a performance check.
Alrighty.
For fun. Okay. You're playing a nice, jaunty little ditty.
Can I repeat his flute?
You abso-fucking-lutely can.
Okay, let me do
Yo.
that.
So you have
Can I
this
join
nice
in
little
with-
chorus.
Yeah. No. What Jimmy's going to try to do is, as he's repeating those notes, it's going to be like a sample machine, right? And just harmonize with it.
So he plays the loop and then you riff on top. Gotcha.
Mhm.
What,
Your own
how are you
soundboard.
adding to this? How are you adding to this, Gadon?
I would like to pull up my drum and add a nice beat.
Okay, you go ahead and make another performance check. See how you add to the ensemble. Ooh, okay. So, like, before you guys were kind of off time. It's sort of... But now with the advent of Got On into this, sort of like Jimmy picks back up the main melody once more for like perfectly on time for Barker. And then you guys just find a stride. And you guys carry this tune for so long. Just everybody on the cart is just jamming. Then you begin to see something in the distance. Far down the road, as the mist sort of like, and the steam sort of like breaks off and gives way, sort of like set almost just on the edge of the mountain range. You can see these sort of stone palisades that rise up out of the ground. And Ramar says, there it is, Kamordah.
Wow. That's
Very
pretty neat.
Kamordah.
Kamordah.
Finally, some quiet.
Oh, you didn't like my song?
The shadow figure says nothing.
I start like doing the repeat again.
No. Don't want to disturb her anymore.
So as in relative silence, in the advent of silence, you got sort of the caravan makes its way, and you approach the gates of Kamordah. There, the caravan is sort of greeted with a troop of Crown's Guard that make their way to the outside to meet. One of them appears to have slightly more intricate armor and a sort of like ruddy brownish red cape with gold filigree on the outside that sort of stands out from the rest, and he sort of gestures a hand for the caravan to enter through the gates to the city. And the relatively muddy road of the Bromkiln Byway sort of gives way to these sort of slapdash set cobblestones in what is known as the mud fields of Kamordah. The caravan stops as it makes its entry, and Ramar sort of turns to you all and says, I have a little bit of business to tend to with the powers that be here. After that, I will get you your gold, Gadan, and you can split it with your newfound compatriots, however which way you wish. Make yourselves at home. And he sort of like steps off, and he sort of like gestures to a few of the other drivers of the caravan, and sort of like talks with them for a moment, and then they sort of like split off to other ways, and a couple of them begin talking with Crown's Guard, and you can sort of hear their conversations, sort of requisitioning feed and water for their horses.
Okay. So of course, after I wave off Gatan, I'm gonna like look around for like a nice area just to stay for a while to wait on him.
Okay,
Are we still in the? Oh, sorry.
go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Are we still in the Dwendalian Empire?
You guys are still in the you guys still are in the Dwendalian Empire. You're still in the
Okay.
Marrow Valley as well, but you are in the westernmost point of it. If you'll go to the map that is pinned, Kamordah is in the Bromkiln Hills, right next to the edge of the Sirios Mountains, in a sort of nice little valley.
Wow, I cannot see that at all.
Open it in a web page.
It's
and then
kind
look
of
at
like
it.
Yes.
in almost
Okay,
directly in the
gotcha.
middle of the thing. Oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Valley. There's Nico Dranen.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nicodranas
Western
is
point. I'm fucking
yeah.
idiot. Oh, okay.
Yes, it's directly west of Zadash. It's Kamordah and Diastok, two sister cities. So as you all are making your way off of the caravan, and Gadon, you're sort of like spotting around to try and find a nice place to rest your feet, perhaps an inn or a tavern of some descript. You are all immediately accosted by the caped individual. And he sort of like very quickly gathers you all up in a space, and you're all a very, very interesting group of individuals. Where would you say that you are from? And what is your business here in Kamordah?
I'm
Pardon my
sorry. Who are
question.
you?
I am the Watchmaster.
Oh, okay.
If you must know, I am Watchmaster Lechner. I'm the head of the Crown's Guard here in Kamordah. And I would like to ask your business. You understand that this is a time of war now.
Yes, of course.
Give me nods.
And he's sort of like, as you're sort of like saying this, he just sort of like looks at you very carefully. Not Jimmy yet, but he's sort of looking at the Ganassi, and he's sort of like, you can see him sort of like running information through his mind, and he says,
Fuck.
well, Master Raider, it is nice to see you here in Kamordah. What is your business here so far away from... Oh, that's right, you're not in Rexentrum anymore. Or in Zadash. My apologies. What brings you down the byway to our fine city?
I don't know. I just wanted to explore a little bit away from father and his duties.
Did the halls of erudition get boring to you? Not that I am assuming.
Oh no, you're fine. Just a little, yeah.
Oh, you didn't get nothing?
Well, I hope that the city of Kamordah is a nice change of pace for you. It is much quieter here than in Zadash. I think you'll find, but it's pleasant, and I'm very much enjoying my stay away from Rexentrum. This is a nice change of pace. But the rest of you, and he sort of like immediately changes gears from this like jovial and trying to be the most respectful that he could possibly be to this Ganassi individual that you guys had just met, to a much more inquisitive and piercing gaze to the rest of you. And he says, and what is your business here in Kamordah?
Ah, well, with war going on, I wanted to escort my dear friend. And a part of that, including escorting this bunch of individuals as I point to the Ganassi.
So you're friends with Herr Mala then?
More Ramal than Mala.
Here is sorry, it is Zemnian. My apologies. Mr. Mala.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes, you and I point
occasionally
tonight.
meet with Mala a few times. He's definitely made his way to Kamordah more than a few times, and I'm happy to see that the journey was safe. And thank you for overseeing it. I'm sure that there will be coin for you and as guarding caravans. While a lot of the time their acquisition righteous brand to do so. It is nice to see that they're going with a third party in this time of war. I suspect that this business of yours will be booming in these times of war.
I would hope so, but as with many, I would hope the war would be over sooner than later.
As do I. He sort of like eyes over the rest of you. He sort of like takes note of the he takes note of the guy, he takes note of the Kenku in particular for a moment, and then he sort of like looks over his robes and with a nod of recognition sort of continues his gaze. And then his eyes fall on the very shady looking individual with just sort of like clad in like black leather with belt buckles going every which way. And who might you be? And what is your business here?
I'm just on an adventure.
And his gaze immediately does a 180 as he looks at the lion behind him and he says, I don't know how I did not see you there. My apologies. I will get to you in a moment. And he turns back to Banyu.
Sorry, I have a fry in my mouth. The shadow figure, now known as Banyu, kind of adjusts themselves and stares this man dead in his face
Seeing
through the blindfold, and says, "I am Banyu. I'm from a small town that has no meaning, and I'm just looking for cool things." 16 bucks for one of them.
Very well. Then he turns back around and looks at the fucking lion. I like this. This guy's like a good 6 foot, but he's looking up at the lion. And just as he was looking up at the Goliath. So what is... I cannot say that I've ever seen such an individual as yourself. Where are you from? Mr... He's gesturing towards you, Axel.
My name is Axel.
Yeah, well then, here, Axel. Where are you from? If you do not mind me asking. And what is your business here in Kamordah?
Give me a second.
He's rummaging for his wallet to find where his ID is.
Pretty much.
So you were from the Graying Wildlands, Cody.
Yeah.
So since you're not playing a Goliath anymore, I would say that you were born somewhere in the Savalier Wood before making your way up into the mountains of the Flotkid Alps, and you found your way to Uthadern, wherein you found a nice adopted home where you were raised with either dwarven or elven standards in the diarchy, and then made your way south for some reason.
Except don't say that you're from the Great Wild.
You don't think that there would necessarily be
he-
any
Okay.
trepidations of being from the Graying Wildlands. It's more of a it's certainly less of an open relationship than with the Menagerie Coast, for sure. But there's no like trepidations, particularly going to or from Uthadern in particular. But Uthadern, like, is a very insular city. They don't really do any outside trade with the rest of Wildmount or even Exandria. It's very insular and isolated from the rest of Wildmount. So it would garner more looks of surprise or perhaps wonderment, you being from such a far off land, but it definitely wouldn't garner any ire, at least not to most
Okay.
folks.
Would it? Oh, hold on. Would it be wise to say that I'm from the tribes of Shady Creek? Run.
Oh,
Or
you're
no?
from Shady Creek?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's a completely different story. Definitely do not mention that you're from Shady Creek Run.
That's why I was kind of like silent, because you know.
Definitely do not mention that you're from Shady Creek. Absolutely do not mention that you're from Shady Creek.
Yeah, that's kind of was quiet.
Then, I'll be keeping a very close eye on you, Mr. Axel. I believe that leaves
Jimmy.
you, Mr. Tiefling.
Jimmy smiles and he waves. Yeah.
That is the
looking for-
strangest tieflings that I have ever seen. I don't think that I have ever seen tieflings with horns like tiny antlers before. It's very interesting. Where do you hail from?
Well, the woods. I never really lived in a town. It's a bit east of here, I think. I haven't looked at a map in a while. Yeah, and me and my mom used to trade with the town for the basics, and then I'm trying to find my dad now.
Do you have any... Well, if I can be of any assistance to the aid in finding your father, if you could give me a brief description of who they are and who they might look like, I might be of assistance there.
He was wearing like a the last time I saw him, he was wearing a brown robe with a bit of a white like skirt pant legs.
White pants.
And he was his face was incredibly scarred, and he had a black wrap over where his eyes would have been.
Very scarred and black wrap over where his eyes would have been. And he sort of looks over at the individual Banyu. No. And then looks back towards Jimmy.
Do you think I would know anything about anyone that looked like that?
Specifically, around Zadash, that garb definitely does not ring a bell. It would definitely stick out in a crowd, and you can't recall that you've ever seen anyone wearing that particular ensemble of clothing.
Didn't know if they're anyone important. I've read about.
Well, I will definitely keep a lookout and spread the word around the Crown's Guard here, and I
would
don't
really
recall
appreciate that.
ever seeing someone like that around here, but we will definitely keep an eye out for you, Herr
Oh, Jimmy.
Jimmy. But it is nice to meet all of you. As I said previously, my name is Watchmaster Lechner. And pardon my trepidations of your entrance of the city. It's in times of war, espionage, and things. Not, I don't think that I have any particular worry about them coming to Kamordah, but I spent most of my time in Rexentrum, and I am suspicious of odd peoples. And he looks over to Axel and Banyu.
Banyu is just wiping their dagger off on a piece of their loose clothing, not really paying
Why?
attention.
Oh,
I would keep your weapons sheathed in the city proper, if you would be so kind.
Banyu's head tilts up as if they're looking at this man and very reluctantly shoves a dagger in their side sheath and crosses their arms.
Oh, you
Danke
guys.
schön.
I completely understand. These times has really been hard on, to reluctantly say, my family. I appreciate your concern. You're doing a fine job.
So how is particularly how is Zadash managing after the Kreen attack that happened upon the city?
Well,
Is your family okay? I know that it was against the targeted specifically the Halls of Erudition. I do hope that the Raider family is safe. I know that
yeah,
Vilma, she was in Rexentrum when it happened, but is
yep,
your father well?
yeah. My father's completely fine. Just up to his neck in paperwork.
Oh, I can imagine after that, he's probably going to be very busy for quite some time.
Yeah, I just left him to his duties. Told him I was leaving. Gave me his as much of a goodbye as he could, and now I'm here.
Well, your father has a fair bit of responsibility in the Halls of Erudition, so I would not
Mm.
hold it against him. But it is, and he sort of like is turning back to the rest of you. It is nice to see fresh faces here in Kamordah. What do you think that you're going to do now that you're in the city? Do you plan on doing anything in particular? Are you going to stay as a group? Staying as a group would make it much easier to keep my eyes on you if you wouldn't mind.
Where is your clothing shop?
A clothing shop in particular. We have several ways of requisitioning threads for nobles in particular, if you would like.
Wonderful.
Because and he sort of like gestures up to the sort of like cloud top esque area of the city where it's this raised bit that's sort of like up closer to the mountains, and whereas in the mud fields here, the streets are kind of low and more like petrified wood and sort of like wattle and daub abodes. You could see sort of like stone like manors sort of peeking up through the palisades that lead into the this area that is known as the Rainbow Groves. Many of the nobles, the noble families, they live in the Rainbow Groves. I do not know if you have any business with them in particular. If you do, then I can arrange a meeting for you if that is something that you request. Herita.
No nobles in particular. Just mostly looking to, I don't know, expand my horizons.
Well, as if you're more akin to the sort of city living, I'm afraid that you won't find all that many very extravagant shops as for clothing. But we do have a couple, and in particular and as he's going to explain this, just kind of feel the ground beginning to shift beneath your feet. Just this low
No.
of the earth beginning to shift and quake beneath your feet. And the Watchmaster Lechner, he just sort of like shifts his feet and sort of like got his eyes looking around, but
Is that normal?
the seismic activity around here has been getting a little bit more active as of late. But yes, this part of the Bromkiln Hills in particular is very volcanically active. I'm assuming on the road here you saw so many geysers.
Mm-hmm.
There is no real mountain volcanoes. I mean, there are one or two, and he sort of like gestures to the Sirius Mountains behind him. But the entire area of the hills is caustic. Beneath is sort of vents and lava flows. And as he's sort of describing this, the earthquake, well, it was a nice, subtle, like grumbling of the earth that sort of like shook like the street signs and lamps. Now it's threatening to take you off your feet.
Oh God.
I'm going to try to hold on to get on.
As you
Catching myself.
as you sort of like clasp your arm around this large stone-born Goliath, the horses are now beginning to spook. Whereas as before they were sort of like previously a little bit calm, but now they're just sort of like whinnying and sort of like rearing up and sort of like making the carts like shudder even more so and sort of like drag them around.
I am immediately going to try to calm them down.
Okay, go ahead and make an animal handling check. Okay, so even amidst the relative chaos of this this current earthquake that's happening, you do manage to calm several of the horses down, and sort of that sort of like leads them to remain still, though incredibly trepidatious about the circumstance. They definitely do not seem to like what's happening here.
It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Don't worry. Don't worry.
And then after a moment, the earthquake passes. Well, as I was saying, you could go to Chairman's Threads, and there's, and at this moment, sort of like, you can now see making their way down the thoroughfare, another like several carts and wagons, who have managed to calm their horses begins to make their way up, and it says, "Oh, hang on, there's another caravan about to leave here. If you give me just a moment, and then I will be back to talk to you here later."
Oh no, you're completely fine. I'll just look around a little bit. It was nice seeing you. Give
Favor?
him the normal or unless you needed more from me.
I would not wish to keep you here more than you would. And he sort of just runs off to the caravan. That's now up to you guys. And you can see this caravan through like the canvas covering that's sort of like tapered down and sort of like masking the contents. You can sort of see like many like bottles of wine and like bundles of herbs and minerals, and just see the watchmaster talking amongst them. Then after a
So,
moment, it just yeah. What do you guys want to do?
I'm going to grab the arm of Gadon, and I'm going to put my arm around the shoulders of the Kenku and say, "I think I owe you guys a drink for keeping me entertained on that trip, eh?"
I'm
Anyway,
always down for another drink. Yeah.
I say
you
drink.
said there was good wine somewhere.
That's what I've heard. And I whisper, in, it's all right. It okay. It's pretty good, but you know,
Hey,
gotta
hey,
my
turtle
hometown
spit,
against their hometown. You know how it is.
turtle spit. Remember, probably gonna be better.
I'm not familiar with the town, however, but if I know where to find fancy wine, look over to our friend who was like this entire time. This guy has been like talking to them as though like they're his higher up. How much does being a guard of someone so well off pay?
Are you talking to the guy, the caravan guy?
I am talking to you.
Me?
Yes.
Oh.
This large, imposing Goliath isn't indeed like looking down at you, and he's asking how much it costs to ferry around a noble and give them protection.
Uh, I don't know. I'll give you a gold.
That's good enough for me.
Good enough for me. Oh, you wouldn't happen to, enjoy wine, would you?
I can partake.
Brilliant.
As I sip my cup again.
And like, are there any like signs? Like, I assume Kamordah is like has a decent amount of wineries. Are there any that I would have heard of? Like, in view?
Wineries?
Not winery. Bars. Sorry, bars and like inns and taverns.
Okay, yeah.
That, like,
So, like,
yeah.
in the Rainbow Vineyards, there are plenty of like big name families that export their wine. On the current road that you guys are in the thoroughfare, you do see sort of like hanging from a sign what appears to be well, it calls itself an inn, but it looks more like a warehouse made out of like very like bland mishmash like construction. Like the woods, like you could see some pine there, you could see some oak there. It's very strange. It's very mismatch of a structure, and it's apparently known as the Gemmed Hearth Inn.
This place looks nice.
It has a lot of presentation about it. Come on, friends. to those that are here.
Mr. Ganassi, go ahead and give me a just an intelligence roll.
Intelligence.
Yeah.
Oh God, can I? Okay, there. Oh, boy.
Okay, yeah, like you've I don't think you've ever been to Kamordah. You don't really know like the lay of the land here. Maybe it's called the Gem Tarthan. Maybe looks are deceiving. You never know. There might be something neat there. Maybe this is sort of like a rustic interior, lavish interior kind of deal.
Oh.
But is it like as you're sort of like really taking in like as you're watching the rest of them sort of like pile into the interior of the inn here on the thoroughfare, you could see on the outskirts of it are, and you're sort of like taking note of this, and a lot of the places around here have these like exterior greenhouses where they appear to be like trying to grow plants and stuff.
Oh. Maybe it is
How
nice on
trashed
the
are the
inside.
streets?
Say that one more
Say
time.
what?
How trashed are the streets? Like, is there litter everywhere, or is it pretty well kept in this area?
There doesn't appear to be a lot of litter per se, but the streets themselves are very muddy, and they're these very like hapdash, sort of like speckled cobblestone streets that are mainly mud. Not a whole lot of cobblestone on these cobblestone roads.
Okay. So we're all going inside this little inn.
If you want to come with, yeah. It's always
Yeah.
great to have more drinking buddies.
You say Banyu has definitely got some plans going on, so they'll tag along. Although they won't appear as if they're with the group. They just happen to go in the same direction.
You walk in like 2 minutes later as to not seem like, you followed us.
And so as we're walking down, I'm like, so Axel, have you ever thought about professional combat?
Wrestling?
Wrestling of different sorts.
Professional combat?
Yes. You seem like quite a hardy fellow. I feel like you put on quite a show.
I wouldn't try and judge someone based on their physical appearance.
Give me the box. Sorry. One second.
But unfortunately, it seems it is something I'm good at.
Unfortunately?
I don't really like fighting.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that. I have a problem with fighting that I don't want to talk about.
Okay. And I nod and
You notice he's hiding something under his cape that he's been looking at. Just something to note.
Okay.
so what's the inside of this inn look like?
Yeah, you're not like as you're all funneling into the interior and you're sort of settling down and amidst the tables. You're curious as to where the inn part of this inn is. It mostly just looks to be a large sort of like flat bar area. And the inside of this is relatively nice. The wooden tables are adequate. But the bar itself is this beautifully polished sort of like slab of marble atop some kind of exotic wood. And manning the bar sort of gives a nod to you all as you walk in, and sort of like begins to sort of like take up a set of tankards and begin to wipe them down. Is this sort of like rotund, gruff-looking man with strong stubble that just sort of like creeps across this heavy squared jaw. His hair is he's had a rough run with male pattern baldness to the point where he has this friar tuck kind of deal, like this like bowl around the sides and just bald on the top. He's got a few scars across his face and appears to have heterochromia. It's one of his the right eye of his is discolored on the left.
Hmm.
He sort of just as you all funnel in and he's wiping down the mugs. He just, what can I get you?
I'd like to buy a drink for myself and these two gentlemen right here.
Ryan, what'd you drink it?
I would like to try your wine, please.
Want some wine? Oh, well, I mean, I could certainly open a few bottles, I guess, but that's gonna cost you.
Well, how much?
What vintage you want?
I look over to Gedon. I'm not really a wine guy.
I'm not myself, but maybe not something too old.
He's sort of like, as he's sort of like cracking his jaw to one side, and he sort of like flicks his tongue up on the left side of his lips, and he's like, all right.
Give us what you think we'd like, just from our looks. Chewy's giving a big old smile.
Question.
First, how much does it cost? I'd like to know that before you give us anything.
Oh, good
Well,
point.
if you're wanting a bottle of wine, it's gonna run you back about 2 gold.
Oh my gosh, that's really expensive.
Yes, it's why it's white.
And he sort of like brings up this this sort of like
Oops. Fuck, I didn't mean to
deep
press that.
deep brown bottle, and he sort of sets it and like turns the label towards you, and it appears to be this crest of what appears to be like a ruddy clay lion with flecks of gold.
Hey, you want to split it?
The bottle or the cost?
Well, both.
And Axel says you can split it 3 ways. I'd be down.
I look at the Kenku. How about you?
Sorry, what?
Would you like to split the wine with us?
Sure. I say split.
And I also ask, how about you, good sir? Looking at the Genasi.
Right. What type of do you serve coffee here?
I beg your pardon. Want some coffee?
I'll take that as a
Hang on just a second, and he goes into this sort of like, you could hear it like a drawer or a cabinet just sort of like just sort of like rustling on the interior. And he just sort of like picks up a bag from the interior and just sets it on the counter, and as it like plops on the counter, there's just this of dust.
I see this isn't a morning in type of
Don't know how.
thing.
Generally, if you're gonna have something to drink here in the morning, it's gonna be ale.
Hmm.
You got water, but that'll cost you.
I'll just take a glass of wine, please.
Axel says, "Do you have a bowl?"
Well, if we split it 5 ways, it'd be 4 silver from it, each of us.
How much is a glass of wine? Or are we doing it by the bottle?
You gotta open up a
He's
bottle.
yeah, he's selling you a bottle. He's not selling you glasses of wine.
Oh, okay. I'll just
And you know
hand
what?
the- I'll just hand him the,
As a noble, go ahead and just give me
I'll-
another intelligence check.
okay.
Or do you not care how much wine costs?
You know what?
I was gonna
kinda-
ask.
I
Oh, sorry.
kind of do. 16.
Okay. So 2 gold for a bottle of wine. It's pretty pricey. You're not really too familiar. Like, you've probably had, like, wine exported from Kamordah, even if you haven't been here yourself. But you haven't really paid attention to, like, any of, like, the ledgers of your family's purchases or gifts. Like, you don't really look at receipts. That's not your deal, but 2 gold for a bottle of wine? That's, all right. It's not like the weirdest ask in the world, but definitely a little bit steep.
Well, it'd only be 4 silver if, you split it with us.
I'll just hand him the the 2 gold.
Can I-
Well,
Could I
No.
take another look at the bottle? Like, is there like a certain brand on it? Like, I know you said the clay lion. Like, is there like a name?
Yes, below the visage of the clay lion is a name, the Lionette Estate.
And
Do
this
I
isn't
know
ringing any
anything
bells.
about that?
Oh, my apologies. According to the guide here, so this bottle is actually going to run you 12 gold pieces instead of 10. My apologies.
oh my. Oh my.
At this point, Banyu walks in and steps not too far from the group and waves down the barkeep. Give me one of your finest bottles of wine.
Gonna get flexed on.
It gets that. Give it a
Wait,
second.
you said 12 gold? I thought you said 2 gold. I don't. I'll just take a piss ale, please.
Well, if you want 2 gold, and then he like sets up a wine cooler on the counter for you.
Hey,
You got that for 2 gold. If you want this, and he points to the large Lionette Estate bottle, it's gonna be 12.
just give me an ale, a pale ale.
All right.
I'll hold on. You said I didn't really look at receipts or anything. Just by the name though, like everybody like talking about it though. Would that have rung any bells with like my family saying like, "Oh, this is a lioness estate," and then they like took a sip and spit it out like wine tasters doing, like, exquisite, that type of thing.
Your father generally not the kind of your father actually was like more down to earth as sort of like nobles go. It's just that he was incredibly busy with all myriad of shit. So he probably wouldn't have like had too much of a taste for expensive wines. Your mother, on the other hand, she probably would have spoken very highly of wine exported from Kamordah.
Gotcha. I'll set the 12 pieces.
Before he can do
spender.
that, Banyu is flagging down the barkeep.
Oh, before I do that, okay.
Okay,
Yes, before you do
as
that.
you're sort of like rummaging in your pouch for a paltry 12 gold pieces, Banyu sort of like saunters up and requisitions the attention of the individual. What are you wanting?
Your finest bottle of wine. And Banyu takes out a signet ring and sets it on the counter. I won this from some duke in what's that name? Zadash. And I think he was only traveling there. I'd like to barter this for the wine.
Want me to trade a bottle of wine for a ring?
This ring is worth easily 10 to 15 gold pieces.
Make deception if you're lying, persuasion if you're telling the truth.
Oh boy.
You could sort of see as a sort of like tonguing around the outside of his jowls. You can hear the sort of like spit sloshing around in his mouth as the tongue is getting stuck to his relatively dry cheeks. All right.
If you don't want it, I don't have to.
You say the name was Duke something and it's a dash.
I think he was only traveling. I won it off of a dart game.
All right. He sort of like takes the material of the ring. He sort of like bites the edge of it. Okay, and he pockets the ring and goes beneath the counter, and he brings up a kind of sort of like dusts off the top of it, so you know that it's been there for a while. And he slides it across the counter. And this one doesn't read the Lionette Estate. This is a deep like burgundy colored bottle that sort of has these like lines of gold running through it. And
Excuse
the label
me.
reads the Stossman Estate or the Stossman family or Stossman wine. It just reads Stossman wine.
Excuse me. How much is that bottle?
Well, you got any rings you want to trade for it?
No,
He sort of
I
like
don't.
looks over
need
here
a-
and smiles.
No, I don't. Just how much is that bottle?
Well, that's pretty old. Won that in a game of cards about 7 years ago, and apparently it's was 15 years older than that. But Stossman's a pretty big name around here. Say that'd probably fetch maybe 25 gold.
Okay. I hope you enjoy it.
You say that to Banyu?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They gingerly take up the bottle and examine it as
And
if they're looking at it exquisitely.
and
Turn
you
to
said
the barkeep.
the family's name was.
Miss Stossman.
He clears the store and he says, hey, the Stossman family. They're up there in the Rainbow Groves, and he sort of points northward.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. So I'll just set the 12 gold. For that
Okay, and
the other bottle.
as you guys have your bottles of wine on the counter, the earth begins to quake once more.
God
Oh no!
fucking damn it,
So
Michael.
both of you
No, Banyu
make
picked up the bottle.
both of you make initiative checks for me. See if you can save your bottle from certain doom.
Banyu
Can
left
my wait?
their
Can
bottle.
my
They were, like, looking at it real nice.
can rock fuck Can Roxifer also make an initiative check?
Sure.
Yay!
Also, I have advantage on initiative.
You have
Does that
advantage on
help?
initiative checks. You
You
do have
advantage on
advantage.
initiatives?
Yep.
What?
Dang.
Oh my god!
Nice.
I don't know what the dexterity is for a
A
pseudo
pseudo
dragon.
dragon? It is +2.
Hey, 21.
Okay.
If I didn't catch it, then Roxifer would like see me try to go for it, and then he'll like peck at it. You know, like grab it in his beak,
Okay, so
make sure it
Banyu,
doesn't drop.
with almost a preternatural sense, you instinctually, just as the first, like, slightest bit of a tremor, before anyone else can really feel the ground to begin to shake, you immediately snatch up the bottle and sort of like clutch it under like your arm,
hmm
and then the earth begins to quake. And Eric, you sort of like can like feel the earth beginning to shake, and you're like, oh fuck. And then you see on the counter, and you see the bottle of wine just sort of like shaking and jangling in place, and it's about to tip over, and you're like, oh fuck. And then you dash your hands over to it and grasp the bottom of it, and as you do that, your hands begin to like get lifted up in the air, and as you just hear these of wings as Roxifer has also grabbed onto it, and you both manage to save the bottles of wine.
Hmm. Banyu
Wow.
shoots this sort of disappointed look at Eric before going back to looking at their bottle of wine.
As you share that glance at each other, all of you in the interior of the Gemmed Hearth Inn begin to hear this ding 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 ding. The sounds of alarm bells being rung along the palisades of Kamordah, as the earth is still shaking.
Are these attack alarm bells? Or the Earth is about to crack alarm bells?
Well, we only got the one
Yes.
kind of alarm bell that you hear from underneath the bar, as the barkeep has just shunted his very large like bodice beneath it. It is sort of like you could probably see like a bit of his arm peeking out the side, this big burly individual, and he's like, we only got the one kind of bell.
Jimmy is going to go towards the door frame to outside and stand underneath that. And also look outside what's going on.
Okay, make a perception check for me.
Alright. Shoo-ba-da-blah.
Okay, so the first thing that you see immediately upon sort of looking down the thoroughfare, you see at the gates of the town, or at the gates of the city where you entered, there appears to be a commotion with several Crown's Guard, several individuals that you would recognize as the caravan drivers of the ones that had left the town, and the watchmaster talking with them. And then he's sort of like they talk for a very brief moment as the individuals from the caravan look to have like a panicked look on their face. You could see one of them actually like looks like their sleeve has been like either ripped or burned off, and the watchmaster is now just like shouting orders. And from this distance, you might be able to like hear like bits and pieces of him like shouting this language that you're not familiar with. Sounds like guttural and harsh, kind of like common in ways, but different in others.
What's going on?
I don't know, and Jimmy's actually going to run towards the commotion.
I put the
It
the
sounds
bottle
like
of wine in my bag.
Common
holder.
and guttural. Is it undercommon?
It's not undercommon, no.
Oh, okay. Is it more like a
Banyu also
dwarvish?
puts their very nice wine in their bag
You just,
and
you
follows
just
out.
gotta one up me like that.
I guess we should save our drinks for another day as I go off to follow Jimmy.
Yeah, no, I rush up to the watchkeeper. Hey, what's
Okay.
going on?
Well, apparently, after the caravan had left, they said that they were attacked by strange creatures.
Beasts?
Is it still shaking?
Yes. The earth, like, you guys are, like, in fact, it's kind of an ordeal to get here.
Mm-hmm.
You're sort of like,
Half movement, gotcha.
yeah, so you're sort of like meandering through the muddied cobble streets, and the sort of like the ground is almost liquefying in places, just
no.
like due to the mud, and like you just like one of your legs just kind of like slups into the mud before you have to
Mm.
Oh
pull
God.
it out.
Ah. Oh my boots.
Jimmy is very used to this.
Axel's
he's
gonna
he's
tie-
dealt with muddy environments.
Oh my boots.
And wash off with just some water.
I use
If it's leather, at least.
prestidigitation. Just wring it all off.
No. The mud adds character. It's a part of the story.
Fuck character. These boots were
These boots are Gucci.
5 gold.
Banyu walks past Eric and makes a snide comment. Wow, my lord can't stand a little dirt, and walks off.
I see the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Which as he's explaining to you that the caravan was apparently attacked by these strange creatures, he hasn't really gotten into like the actual real detail of what happened. But at this time, you begin like hearing like a cavalcade of horses just beginning to make their way down the thoroughfare. And these horses do not seem to be spooked by what's happening at all. Like these horses were apparently bred for war.
Are there people on these horses?
There are people on these horses. You can see the sort of like dull iron and gold mixed with bits of red armor of the Crown's Guard.
Are there smaller people on these people?
Or actually, no, these would be righteous brand soldiers. These would sort of be like stark armor with streaks of red going through.
Oh, those are your men to take care of the beast. Yeah.
One more time.
I'm asking him if those are his men and if they're going to go take care of the beast.
Yeah. We will be sending a small troop to go out and secure the caravan. I would like you all to stay put and try not to make too much of a fuss of things. And at that point, you guys just begin to hear something like erupt from the city. You hear this just, and you see a massive like gout of steam like shooting up from like a portion of the mud fields.
Good
And he
heavens!
says, "That is not good."
What is that?
Jimmy's going to start, heading in that direction.
And he
Rather
sort
than
of like, the Watchmaster like grasps like your shoulder, Jimmy, before you can go, and he says, you would know that he's speaking in Zemnian. Those of you who are from the Dwendalian Empire and may or may not
Yep.
speak it, but he sort of like shouts to the guards, the righteous brand soldiers in Zemnian. With me, come on, off to horses. And he turns to the rest of you on and says in common, "Take the horses, go secure the caravan."
Ah,
Oh,
brilliant,
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anything to help.
And after you get the job done, do not come back. Send a singular runner, and we will escort. Make sure that nothing happens to the caravan, and do not pry into its contents. And he just sort of like dashes off with the righteous brand soldiers.
Okay, what he said. Okay, so what he said
Banyu?
was
He was speaking in common.
secure the. Yeah. He said secure. He said secure the caravan. After that, don't come back, and then send a
One
single
person.
Send a
runner?
singular runner. So
Yes.
have everyone
Mhm.
else continue guarding the caravan while a singular runner comes back to secure more people to come and get the caravan and bring it back to Kamordah.
Gotcha.
And as the righteous brand soldiers head off to the kerfuffle in the mud fields of Kamordah, and you all begin prepping your way to get on the war horses,
Mm-hmm.
that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Yep.
Oh,
Session 0. Let's fucking go.
yeah.